My girlfriend wants us to be mothers when I'm moving into her place because she got pregnant by a man, but my parents and her parents aren't taking it very well. I'm 28, my girlfriend is 26, we've been together for 3 years, and we're about to move in together. I have a part-time job and an online business I'm trying to get off the ground, while my girlfriend works at a preschool. So you can imagine that we barely make enough to cover living expenses. That's why I'm moving in with her rent is cheaper. We've had conversations about what we want in life, careers, dream trips, the kind of family we envision. I made it clear that I'm someone who has chosen not to have children because of how I was parentified growing up. Basically, I'm tired and fed up with raising kids. She agreed, since her job already involved enough childcare. That was a year ago. While I was bringing in the last boxes of the day, I got a message from her saying she wanted to talk about something important. I assumed it had to do with the things I was bringing. I still had more boxes at my place, so I took what I had and followed her to the bedroom. She sat me down and asked if I had ever thought about marrying her someday. I admit I wasn't sure yet, since we were just about to move in together and needed to get to know each other on this level before such a big commitment. I've heard too many horror stories of couples who get married before living together and end up hating each other. I love her, but I want to take things step by step. She understood and then explained why she was asking. She wants to have kids after all. Hearing that surprised me. The preschool where she works is closer to my current apartment, so she'd stop by sometimes to decompress. She would tell me how exhausted and stressed she was from dealing with the kids and would even take long naps before staying over or going home after dinner. So I was very confused and asked what changed her mind. She said that whenever she helps the kids with their projects or when they give her drawings and bracelets, she feels happy, even jealous, when they give their bigger projects to their parents. And she wants that too. She imagines us picking up our child from school, and that excites her for the future. After hearing this, I had to remind her that wasn't possible for us, because I had been clear about my choice. And she said, "Don't you feel like we could be doing more with our lives? Wouldn't it be nice to have a mini-me or a mini-you running around?" No offense to any parents here, but the idea made my skin crawl. I already dealt with enough raising my siblings when we were growing up. All I remember is being exhausted, stressed, and far too young to care for 4 younger kids while I was barely out of elementary school. We argued. She said I was keeping her from motherhood, while I told her we had agreed, clearly, that we wanted to be a child-free couple. Dropping this on me suddenly while I'm in the middle of moving feels like too much. We went around in circles, neither one giving in, until she threw in the towel and told me to sleep on the couch. I admit that made me angry, so I left the apartment to sleep at my place. I still have 2 weeks before I officially move in, but I was so upset that I considered whether I could cancel my move with the landlord. I know even thinking that is petty of me, but if having a child is what she wants and I don't, then it's becoming obvious we won't be compatible. Either way, one of us would end up resenting the other. I love her madly, and I'll admit the idea of marrying her crossed my mind many times, but I'm trying to stay sensible about what we both want. She wants me and a family with kids. I want only her, and maybe a pet. Right now I'm sitting on my mattress on the floor, and we're going to have to talk about this, especially with a third of my things now in her house. What am I supposed to do with all of this? Edit, I feel like I need to clarify, we're both women in our 20s, so it's not possible for me to get her pregnant, though I appreciate the concern and warnings about intimacy anyway. Update 1. Okay, I really don't know where to start. I want to thank everyone who commented on my last post and for all the advice you gave me. I also feel like I should clarify a few things. My girlfriend and I are cis women, so I cannot get her pregnant. Which means that hypothetically, if we had children, it would have to be through a sperm donor or adoption. As ideal as it sounds to go back to my parents right now, unfortunately they're the type who believe my life isn't complete if I'm a woman without children. We even had a fight about it where they begged me for grandchildren since I'm the oldest, without acknowledging the parentification they put me through, which is the biggest reason I don't want kids. They even said that helping with my siblings could count as training to be a mother. Honestly, that only bothered me more. I know people change their minds, And sometimes it makes them happier, but other times it makes them more miserable, and I know I'd be the second type. Don't get me wrong, I love my siblings and I would do anything for them, but it doesn't change the fact that what should have been my own childhood was spent building theirs. I already did my share of raising kids, too much of it, and I refuse to go back. As for my girlfriend, now ex, building a fantasy of motherhood, that seems to be the case. But there was something else I really hoped wasn't true. So the next morning, I got a message from her asking if I could come back so we could talk about our fight. I hoped that with some cooling off time we'd be more civil in the discussion. But just in case, I called my siblings, the ones who are 24 and 21, and asked them for help and to stay on alert. Despite the hard life I had to endure, at least my siblings recognized that I was the one who raised them, not our parents, and they never let our parents take credit for it. So they're always ready to help me when I need them. I rarely ask for help, so my brothers rushed over as soon as I sounded genuinely desperate. I feel like I should give them placeholder names, so let's call them Tom, 24, and Jerry, 21, and my girlfriend Sarah. So Tom and Jerry came over, and I told them I had to have a serious conversation with Sarah, and if things went badly, I'd need them with the moving truck nearby to get my things out. I sent an email to my landlord about canceling my move-in date, hoping he'd let me back out. But if not, Tom agreed to help me find a storage unit for my things and let me stay at his place until I found a new one. So the backup plan was covered. I went to Sarah's apartment and found her with swollen, red eyes. She hugged me and apologized for getting angry, and we started talking. For those who suggested the possibility that she was already pregnant and had cheated on me, I hate how right you were. She found out a week ago, and she told me how scared she was about carrying a baby and not knowing what to do, but that the idea of being a mother brought her so much joy and she wanted to share that with me. She started dressing up a whole fantasy of us being a great team with our experience, and I started to zone out. I could see her talking excitedly, but all I heard was, cheated, cheated, cheated. After feeling like I had swallowed gallons of seawater, she stopped talking, took my hand, and proposed to me. I had had enough. There she was, the woman I love, on her knees in front of me with a tearful smile, and I was trying not to scream or vomit. The thing people warned me about was real. So I asked her, "You cheated on me, you got pregnant, and you expect me to marry you and live happily ever after with this?" Guys, the look on her face, she was genuinely shocked by what I said. It made me want to leave, but I needed answers. When did she cheat? How? With who? How long does it even take for a pregnancy to happen between then and now? Sarah wouldn't answer. She just kept accusing me of calling her unfaithful and judging her for her sex life, for her actions. She said she did it for us, and that the pregnancy was something beautiful she was willing to carry for us, as if she had done me a favor. She even had the nerve to say that if I truly loved her, I would stay and raise our child together. I couldn't take any more. I went into the bathroom and locked the door. I texted my brothers to come up, then finally threw up while Sarah shook the doorknob. Eventually I got the text from Tom and Jerry saying they were at the door. I came out to open it, with Sarah now pulling at my sweater, begging and crying for me to listen to her. It didn't get better when Tom and Jerry walked in and started grabbing my boxes. She tried throwing books at them, so I tried to restrain her without hurting her. The guys didn't flinch or get distracted, they kept passing boxes into the hallway while Sarah kept screaming and clawing at my arms under my sleeves. Eventually, she gave me a really nasty scratch that made me let go of her. She ran into the bathroom and kept screaming and crying in there. Tom and Jerry warned me that she was doing that just to stop me from leaving and hoping I'd go in to comfort her, and told me to keep gathering the boxes so they could carry them out. The neighbors came out to see what was happening, and I had to stand between them and my brothers to explain the situation. The only thing on my mind was hoping no one would call the police. Luckily, either the neighbors believed us or this was the one time the police took their sweet time showing up, because we loaded my things into the truck in half an hour. I really hoped some of you were wrong. I hoped she hadn't cheated. That she wouldn't try to baby trap me. That she wouldn't even think she could pull something like this on me when I had nothing to do with the pregnancy biologically. but what the hell is my life now? I thought I was safe from a situation like that, but I guess life has its ways of laughing in your face. I don't know anymore. Thank you, guys, for the warnings and theories. Even though they kept me from sleeping, they kept me alert for all the right reasons. And as an overthinker, I'm glad I was prepared for this outcome. I'm glad Tom and Jerry were ready, because who knows what would have happened if I had done this alone. Even Jerry mentioned it, knowing how hesitant I am to ask for help, so it was a perfect moment for an "I told you so," but I know both of them mean well. Especially Tom, who brought his dog for emergency cuddles while we waited for my landlord to respond. Until then, Jerry said I could stay a couple of days until we figured out what to do. So I guess the move is somewhere between paused and in progress until my landlord decides. Again, thank you. I'll update when we know the next step, but for now I just want to lie down and cry while this adorable ball of fur takes up half the mattress. Edit, she started bombarding me with messages, about an hour after the incident when I wrote this. Jerry, who was halfway through watching Wicked, insisted on taking my phone away for a while so I could decompress in peace. The dog is fully sprawled on top of me, so I feel like he agrees. Update 2. I really hoped this would be my last update, but with the absurd telenovela that my life has become, things kept happening every time I felt ready to update. To start with, my landlord replied and cancelled the move so I could stay in my current apartment. Jerry has been very attentive, and honestly, sometimes it felt a bit strange with him staying here all this time. For example, he'd pile a bunch of my stuffed animals on top of me when I fell asleep. You don't realize how many stuffed animals you own until someone stacks them all onto you. I cried a lot lying on the mattress, with no energy to reassemble the bed frame. Many times he came over to hug me while I sobbed. I mean, this is the same kid I had to hold when he cried over his first breakup, and now he has the nerve to grow 60 centimeters taller than me and reverse the roles. He's a sweetheart. I feel bad relying so much on him. I even got nervous whenever we had to go to work, afraid Sarah might show up. So every day I came home, it felt like I could breathe again. Tom didn't like that we were so cooped up like animals in a cage, muttering curses about Sarah any time she might come near. Throughout all this, they kept an eye on her social media. She blocked both of them, but not an account Jerry has just for digital art, and if there's one thing he has held on to since elementary school, it's never throwing the first punch. So there he was, monitoring any move she might make with evidence ready in case she tried to tell a different version of the story. But before any of that happened, you guys were right again about what she would try next. Because yes, she went to our parents about the situation. They both called me, and I took Tom and Jerry with me, only to find Sarah crying tears of joy as she tried to hug me, while our parents were excited for us. What the hell? She told them we were engaged and had the audacity to show up with a ring and everything. The damn thing was from her family, and she never took it out of its box. Tom and Jerry had to physically block her from getting close to me. It was disturbing seeing her act like everything was normal, holding her belly and acting like the innocent pregnant fiancé. Tom pushed me into the kitchen while Jerry took out his phone. They kept me there, trying to keep me from having a panic attack, while I heard Jerry yelling over Sarah as he showed our parents all the evidence he had compiled. My father walked into the kitchen, lifted my sleeves, and looked like he was going to vomit when he saw the scratches. He went back to the living room and started yelling at Sarah. This part happened very fast. She came into the kitchen with our parents and Jerry behind her, and Tom swung me into the corner of the kitchen, shouting, "Stay away from her." He kept himself between Sarah and me, holding me like a frightened child. Hi again, how the roles have changed. My mom came in like a bat out of hell, grabbed Sarah by the hair, and dragged her outside with Dad and Jerry preventing her from falling. Sarah kept screaming for me to help her until I heard the door slam. She hit and screamed at the door for a good while before we heard her car speeding out of the driveway. After she left, our mother tried to scold me for getting involved with her, but Jerry and Dad were already fed up and yelled at her to shut up. So she went to her room pouting like a child. I swear, even in a situation like this, none of us wanted to deal with narcissism afterward. So the three of us took her self-imposed timeout as an opportunity to leave. Even after all that, Jerry kept saving evidence and waiting. And sure enough, Sarah made the post he expected, spinning a tale that I ran away from an agreed-upon pregnancy and abandoned her as a single mother, even going so far as to attack my brothers for ganging up on her and threatening her. Immediately, Jerry posted the screenshots of her spam messages admitting the cheating and basically trying to baby-trap me. He posted photos of my injuries and my ruined sweater. He even got the footage from our parents' doorbell camera showing her showing up days later, being kicked out, and screaming at the door, along with paragraphs explaining what really happened. Then he went back to her post and flooded the replies with the photos and links to the truth. Some people had already questioned her story because many knew we were a couple who didn't want kids, but those who were ready to take her side were humbled quickly. Jerry even edited his post to add the link to hers, and he kept taking screenshots before she had a chance to delete anything. Honestly, it scares me how prepared and precise Jerry was with all this, even tracking clues about the baby's father and when she likely cheated on me. So yes, everything has been hell these last few weeks. But Jerry has been a digital bloodhound while helping me unpack, and Tom has been talking to a lawyer friend in case we have to take the legal route. Now Jerry is buying stationery and putting together a binder like it's his next scrapbook project. But until we figure things out, we're on alert, especially with our mother. She and Dad may not have been reliable when raising us, but when it comes to physical defense or spreading gossip, that's our best bet for sinking Sarah's ship even further and preventing her from doing more damage. Thanks again to everyone who has been keeping up with this, and apologies to those who asked for updates and didn't get a reply. I feel mentally drained from all of this, and honestly, if my brothers hadn't taken the wheel, I probably would have fallen apart. I thought I knew better about what to do, but I truly suck at following my own advice when it comes to chaos. Edit, my bad for saying a couple of weeks. I thought at least 2 had passed, and I see now my last update was 9 days ago. Time feels eternal during this shitstorm. Don't worry, I'm not asking my narcissistic mother for help. It's more that she involves herself in the rumor mill whether you want her to or not. In the best case scenario, we're using that flaw of hers, knowing what happened will spread quickly. It feels wrong to rely on her bad habits, but luckily she's that predictable. About installing cameras, I'll see if the landlord allows it. I'm not sure if I need his explicit permission, but he was very understanding about canceling the move, so hopefully he's fine with this too. At the very least, I want a doorbell camera. Hi, sorry for not replying, but thank you so much for worrying about me. Tom and Jerry say hi, and it seems like we're okay for now, but we're still in that waiting phase to see if anything else happens regarding my ex. It's been a lot, and the feelings restart every time we hear something about her. Her parents are involved now, so after talking to them and arranging something about Sarah, I hope it's the last thing I have to deal with. I know I'm being stupid for staying involved, but I did really care about this girl, and at least I want to make sure she has something before I step out of this completely. I don't want her to have help from me, just not with me in the equation. Thanks again to everyone, and have a good rest of your day. Update 3. Hi, sorry for not coming back here in so long, but thank you anyway for the kind messages you sent me. I'm really sorry I haven't replied to anything since my last update. I've been in a dark place most of the time. It's weird, I'm still doing my job and house chores relatively well, but it feels like I'm looking through a fogged-up window while my body does things. I knew it was getting bad when Jerry stood in front of me and I had to process that he was still there, and I felt horrible that he saw me like that. I could see him talking, but everything sounded blurry until I finally snapped back. We talked, and he suggested moving in if it would make me feel more comfortable, knowing this wasn't temporary. I felt guilty thinking he'd be staying to take care of me through all this, but he said he didn't mind and just wanted to make sure I was okay. Either way, I'm going to put an extra effort to be mentally present and look for therapy, because clearly the way I'm processing everything isn't going well. About what happened with Sarah, like I mentioned in a comment on my last post, her parents got involved when her mom called me. I was still in my dark place, so I let it ring until she sent a text wanting to meet and talk about everything. I didn't want to at first, but Tom emphasized that I needed closure on that side too, so they couldn't bother me again instead of Sarah, especially if they believed her story. Jerry hasn't had much luck finding the father. Not many of Sarah's friends are willing to help, even though they were there the night she cheated. He deduced that part because one friend admitted she was flirting with some guy nobody knew and said she took an Uber home before they did. They sent screenshots of texts confirming she got home safe, but nothing more to identify the guy. So it's a dead end, and I told him to drop it, it's out of our hands now. As for the meeting with her parents, it got ugly. I know in these situations it's better to meet in a public place, but with how past interactions had gone, I was afraid that if we met in a park or restaurant, all it would take is one phone camera and an outburst and we'd end up all over the internet. Tom found a restaurant with one of those private dining rooms, so we agreed to meet there with her parents to clear things up. They wanted me to go alone, but I said I wouldn't go without Tom and Jerry. At the restaurant, it was so awkward with everyone ordering. I felt especially bad for the waiter, poor guy probably smelled the drama as soon as he walked in. God, it was bad. Sarah told her version, I told mine, and Jerry pulled out his binder of printed evidence. At this point, the guy should have been a lawyer. Tom tried to keep everyone from yelling. Eventually her mother started talking about the sacredness of marriage and how we should be a team for love's sake, we weren't even actually engaged, and how I needed to be a good partner and support my future wife and child. At that point, Jerry would have been thrown out of a courtroom if he were a lawyer. So excuse the language, but this is what he shouted. Oh my God, she doesn't even have a penis. It's not her baby. I swear, whoever was gossiping outside made a noise with their teeth from how dead silent it became. Her parents were in shock, I was horrified, and Tom, well, horrified but agreeing. Jerry went on about how the ring Sarah was wearing wasn't even mine, how I didn't have one, how we were a child-free couple, and yes, how I literally could not be the reproductive candidate in this equation. After dumping all that out, Jerry gathered his binder and stood behind Tom, like he was putting himself in timeout or maybe just exhausted, probably both. None of us, me, Sarah, or her parents, knew what to add. Sarah tried to take their hands to make them look at her, but they refused. They eventually apologized and stood up to leave. Sarah started arguing again, but they quickly told her to shut up and get in the car or she'd be completely on her own. Sarah looked at me with those sad eyes that always melted me, and then she left with her head down and her parents behind her. That was 2 weeks ago, and now she's back living with them in another city. Even with the distance, Jerry and I got the okay for a doorbell camera, and we already installed it. I'm still waiting for a therapy opening, but in the meantime I'm trying to climb out of my fog and focus on Jerry's move. The landlord agreed, considering the situation. Honestly, I feel bad for having doubted that he'd have my back in all this, but he's been very understanding and I appreciate it a lot. Tom even changed the locks at no extra charge and gave us those screw-in window locks. Jerry is settling in with his things, and Tom got a free weekend from work to help move everything and stay at the new place we got near Jerry's old apartment. One morning, I asked Jerry if he was really okay with this, and he was more than happy. He said the place he lived before wasn't that great, and that this feels like home again. My brothers have a talent for making me cry over cereal, but it felt nice that, for once, the tears were halfway happy. Sarah hasn't tried to contact me since she left, but some old friends, those who took her side despite all the evidence, did. They're no longer my friends and have been blocked after I saved screenshots. Meanwhile, the ones who saw things as they are have stayed by my side and permanently cut off anyone who bought into Sarah's insanity. It still feels strange to call her that, crazy. She was someone I loved, someone I was excited to see if we could live together well enough to move forward in our relationship. And now I don't even recognize her. I don't know if she's still working in schools today. The only thing I do know is that, of course, she left the preschool where she worked, and her parents are trying to find the father. But despite everything she put me through, I really do hope she gets the help she needs. I don't like that she was selfish, that she cheated, and that she tried to baby trap me. I see all of that clearly. But before all of this happened, I loved her, and whatever she decides about this pregnancy, I hope she helps herself before taking her next step. Thank you for accompanying me through all this. I suspect this will be my last update, but if anything else happens, I'll let you know. Today Jerry put the binder away in a locked drawer that only the three of us, Tom, Jerry, and I, have access to. He still checks things online from time to time in case anything needs updating. So I hope that if this is truly over, it means he'll spend less time staring at screens. I'm afraid he's ruining his eyes more than necessary. Take care of yourselves, and please take care of each other. Edit. For now, I'm hoping to focus on work and on moving Jerry in while we wait for a therapy appointment. I still slip into these emotional crashes, but at least having that therapy appointment to look forward to feels like a strange kind of goal. And having Jerry at home shakes me back into mental clarity for a little while. He recently brought in some boxes full of books he'd like to keep in the shared living room, so I've been keeping myself busy playing Tetris with the shelf we have there.